welcome back to the channel. For today I am going to be practicing my suture skills in preparation for my surgical skills assessment. Go ahead and get your suture pads and your suture kits, and let's start practicing some suture patterns that you will learn your first time in vet school. So for SGU, these are the types of suture patterns you will be dealing with the first half of your term 4. So we have a bunch of hand ties that we have to know. We have to know some of the continuous patterns and 2 of the interdermal patterns, and then some of the interrupted forms as well. Gotten my first war wound of the suturing for tomorrow's assessment, so I'm gonna take a little bit of a break and just learn the patterns again for what I have to know tomorrow. So I'm just gonna practice instead of timing myself, because I feel like that's where I'm getting really stressed out, is the time constraint. Because I've heard from upper termers that the people watching us do the pattern will let us know, like at the 1 minute point, that we can go ahead and close off the suture pattern we're doing, even if we haven't done the full length of the makeshift incision that they wanted us to do. They just want to make sure that we know the pattern. I'm gonna go ahead and get started with practicing some hand ties, because I feel like that's where the majority of my issue is coming from, because I have no idea how to do some of the hand ties, and I have 10 of them to know for tomorrow's exam, because I have to start off a suture pattern with a hand tie and then go into one of the continuous patterns that we learned. I feel like the time constraint is the main stressor for me right now, so I just need to focus on making sure I actually know how to do the pattern without being timed. Hopefully this evening I can go back to timing myself, and maybe after practicing the patterns a few times it'll get easier to do. I cannot believe my first midterm is tomorrow. I feel so underprepared for this round of midterms. I feel like I've had no time to study, or I just have had so many assignments or quizzes to do that I have not really focused solely on the midterms. I'm freaking out internally and externally, because these midterms count for a lot of our grade, because for a lot of the classes we don't have quizzes this term, which is really stressful, because that means the midterm and the final exam are the only grades we get. I'm gonna go ahead and get started with practicing some hand ties. So this is what a horizontal continuous patches pattern looks like. I started off with a hand tie, and you see how I'm not super horizontal like I should be. It's a little crooked. Ideally you want that as straight as possible, but it's pretty difficult, especially when you have needle holders that don't work correctly as they should. But this is how it should end as well. So this is what a forward interlocking pattern looks like. You can see how I wrapped these sutures around each other to make this sort of pattern. And to close it off is kind of complicated. You use this end as your short end, and then you can tie it off that way. A pretty cool pattern. Once I got the hang of it, it started feeling a little bit better. But this is what it looks like. This is a great one for tension. As you can see, I chose this type of padding. Well, The suturing is going pretty well. It's definitely going better than it was this morning. It's currently like 4 o'clock right now, but I'm just taking a slight break from studying and doing schoolwork because I do in fact still have classes this week where we're still learning material for next week's midterm exams. This midterm that I'm having tomorrow just happens to be right in the middle of classes, so I still have to keep on top of everything else at the same time as studying for this one. At least it's just an in-person physical assessment on how we can do the suture patterns. It's still really stressful because I would love to just solely dedicate my time to focusing on the midterm exams, but we can't because we're in class. So I decided to do all of my classes today online just so I could stay home, get as much studying done as I could. I still don't feel prepared for the time limit of 3 minutes and 15 seconds per station. Personally, for me, that feels like it's way too short to do these patterns, but I'm hopeful I can at least get a large portion of them done within the time limit. We will see tomorrow. I believe I am studying with some friends in the morning to practice our suture patterns within the time limit, so I'm just going to practice as much as I can without timing myself today, just so maybe it takes a little bit of the pressure off tonight and I can just solely focus on learning the techniques as quickly as possible. Well, it is 10:30. I've been working on these suture patterns for quite a while now, so I am going to get some sleep. My time tomorrow isn't until 3:08. I do have to be there about 10 to 15 minutes early just in case they are ahead of schedule. Thankfully, I have the full morning to work on it. I am missing my morning classes just so I can study. I've got 2 of the stations down now with the time limit, but with the intradermal, I am still struggling to get that within the time frame, so I'm really hoping they just tell us when to close off the pattern so we can be graded fully for what they want us to know. And I really hope I don't have to remediate this one. Good night, and I will see you in the morning. Good morning, it is the day of my surgical skills assessment. I am actually headed to campus to study with some friends of mine, just to go through a couple of practice rounds with the time limit, so I'm hoping I do better today than I did yesterday, especially since the assessment's at 3 o'clock. Wish me luck! I am back from the surgical skills assessment. It went pretty well, I think, despite the fact that I broke some of the suture at the very end of a pattern, and I didn't quite finish the intradermal within the time frame. However, I was just about to close it off, so hopefully they don't count off too many points for that, but I'm super proud that I got through it just fine. I did end up stabbing my finger on one of the stations though, so unfortunately my suture pad has a tiny amount of blood on it now, which isn't great, but I'm gonna see if I can get that off before our final exam assessment. I hope you did enjoy this video. If you did, please give it a like and subscribe for more, and let me know down below what else you would like to see on this channel, because I make this content for you. But I hope you all have a great day, and I will catch you on the next vlog.